Hey guys, today we will be reading a one-shot fic, Doe Identified, by ASharksReadingGlasses. This is part 3 to a series, so please go check out the other fics, and the rest will be in the description. I really should have seen this coming, Danny thought, as he struggled to stay conscious in the dumpster he'd been thrown in. The whole ride from Amity Park to New York City had been peaceful, or as peaceful as it could be with his parents, and his first 2 days with relatively unrestricted access to the city had been worry-free and fun. And so the universe had decided that Danny was due to get screwed over, and resolved to cash in with interest. First, he had to take 3 breaks while flying from Queens to the Botanical Garden in Bronx. 3 breaks. In Amity, he could fly for hours and hours on end without even thinking about resting, and he hadn't even noticed anything off with his powers the last 2 days in New York. But now he couldn't keep his usual breakneck pace flying this morning, almost reverting back from his ghost form when he finally made it to the gardens. He nearly collapsed in an empty bathroom he'd found when turning back, because he was so hungry. Danny couldn't remember ever being this hungry before, especially because he had lost most of his appetite after his accident. He quickly found a nearby Dunkin' Donuts shop and ordered 12 of their cheapest breakfast sandwiches, eating them ravenously as he made his way to the entrance of the Botanical Gardens. Danny felt better after he finished his impromptu second breakfast, but conceded he was feeling nowhere near where his usual energy levels. He shot a quick text to Tucker and Sam, listing his exhaustion, hunger, and his major concerns, and hoped they could come up with a reason. As he walked around the gardens, taking pictures of the absolutely enormous lily pads they had in the ponds, and any deadly or exotic plants he thought Sam might enjoy, he periodically checked on his ghost core and became worried when nothing appeared to be wrong. He'd finally gotten a text back from Tucker and Sam around lunch. Their best guess was that he was probably unintentionally absorbing the ambient ectoplasm released by the portal when he was at home, and it was acting like a recharging station for his powers, because no other town had that much ambient ectoplasm. He was probably only now feeling the effects of constantly using his powers, and that of course led to his second problem. Eating only refilled his energy reserves so much. And without the quick fix of absorbing ectoplasm, Danny had to limit the use of his powers until he got back to the hotel and use his emergency ectoplasm injection, which meant he had to find a way to get back to the hotel in Queens. He didn't have enough money for a cab, so either he had to call his parents to pick him up, or use the public transport to get back. Danny couldn't even begin to think of how to explain to his parents how he got to Bronx, so public transport it was. Thankfully, a secretary at the Gardens Visitors Centre took pity on him when he made up a story about his friend's car breaking down, and he explained he'd never used a subway or bus system before. That part was at least true. He always walked, flew, or used his scooter to get anywhere in Amity. She gave him a map and instructions on how to get to the train station, and that would take him to the subway, which sublines he would need to follow, and which stops he would need to get off at. The public transport system in New York was, in a word, an experience. Getting to the station wasn't so bad, but trying to get the right ticket so he wouldn't waste his limited money was slightly confusing. Once he was sure he had the right ticket, Danny thought he could relax a bit, but then he was overwhelmed when he got to the train platform. It felt like he had entered the ghost zone for the first time again, and was completely blindsided by the amount of people weaving through each other. He got lucky when an older couple saw his panicked expression and asked if he was all right. Danny admitted to them that he was trying to get back to Queens, and it was his first time using the train and subway system. He showed them the list of the lines and stops he was supposed to follow, and the couple said they were heading the same way. They led him to the right platform, boarded the train, and they got to talking. Danny started to relax and begin to enjoy the conversation, and finding some of the odder characters on the train. At the next few stops, the couple helped him get the right subway ticket, showed him how to switch lines and how to make sure he was on the correct platform, so he was going the right way, until he had to part ways when they had to get on different lines. Danny had shyly asked if he could get a picture with them to put in his scrapbook he was making of his visit. They happily agreed. Danny blushed at the tip of his ears when the woman insisted he have a couple extra dollars to get a snack. Danny never got the chance to meet his grandparents from either side of his family, mother or father's side, but he imagined this was what Sam felt when talking about her Bubba. The rest of the ride to Queens was almost relaxing, seeing so many different people milling about, and there was a couple of street performers on the platforms that were nice to listen to as he waited for the subway. He was feeling great when he managed to last few line switches by himself, made it top side of the correct street, and orientated himself towards the hotel without any difficulty. This was, of course, when his luck officially ran out, and the universe gave him the middle finger. A mere 6 blocks away from the hotel, he was grabbed and dragged off the street as he was passing the mouth of an alleyway. The asshole that had grabbed him had slammed Danny's back against the wall, a decent way from the street, and hidden out of sight thanks to the dumpster. Danny raised his hands, trying to get his bearing, when he felt the prickle of a knife at his stomach, and he had to clench up as he fought his instincts to go ghost, his core flaring with adrenaline. The mugger that had held him at knife point wore nondescript jeans, a plain t-shirt covered by an open-zip hoodie, a baseball cap covering most of his brunette hair. Danny looked back towards the street, and the mugger had a buddy leaning against a wall by the mouth of the alleyway, keeping watch, wearing similar clothing. Danny looked around briefly, noting the chain-link fence on the other side of the alleyway, not far from where he was. When the knife pierced through his shirt and started to dig into his skin, he turned his eyes back to the assailant towering over him. "Hey, man," Danny stammered as he started to sweat. "I don't want any trouble." "Neither do we, kid," the man answered. "Give us everything you got, and you can be on your way." Danny's heart rate jumped. With the pictures on his phone and the name in his contacts, it wouldn't take much to get Spider-Man in trouble. Not to mention, if he went back to the hotel without his phone or wallet, his parents would know he got mugged and would keep him on a leash for the rest of the trip. Taking a chance, Danny did what he did best and started talking. "Look, I just finished taking a totally unplanned trip from Bronx," Danny said shakily. "I don't have anything left, and my phone's pretty crap. My parents are expecting me to check in soon, so if they don't hear from me, they're going to call the police. So why don't you just let me go?" As he spoke, Danny took the moment to assess his attackers. The guy had nothing on Dash in terms of bulk, and Danny could handle Dash pretty easily with just evasion tactics, even without his powers, although Dash had never really shaken him down at knife point either. Danny could see his attacker start to falter, taking in Danny's terrified body language and shaking hands. Just as he looked like he was about to back off, his friend called down the alleyway. "What's a fucking hold-up?" the second assailant growled out. The knife wielder took his eyes off Danny and was about to retort when Danny decided to act. He quickly pushed the knife down and out the way, weaving under the man's arm, booking it towards the fence, taking a running leap and climbing as quickly as he could. His attacker let out a noise of surprise, but Danny wasn't one to look over his shoulder to find out what they were doing. Just as one of the hands reached the top of the fence, one of the muggers grabbed his leg, attempting to yank him off. Danny tried to kick out with his legs as he clung onto one of the hands. Danny tried to kick out with his as he clung on when one of his hands slipped and he was dragged off the fence and landed in a heap on his stomach. Something pierced his side. Danny quickly tried to roll over, but his side stung and felt hot and slippery. He lifted himself up slightly and nearly screamed in horror when he spotted the knife embedded in his abdomen. Blood bloomed on his shirt from the wound. He flipped himself over as he tried to scramble away from the former knife wielder before hitting a wall. Cradling his hands around the wound, Danny could feel himself start to panic. He, Sam, and Tucker had dealt with bumps, bruises, and scratches, and occasional burns from ectoplasm in the past, but never something as serious as this. Blood was smeared on the ground, a gruesome short trail leading from the fence back to the dumpster, and Danny's hands started to become slippery and stained. "Nate, what the fuck did you do?" the lookout wielder yelled as he abandoned his post at the alley entrance, peered around to the dumpster to look at Danny. The knife wielder, Nate, heaved himself up and turned to look at Danny, his face going pale. "Shit," Nate stammered as he scrambled to get up. Shit, fuck, I didn't mean to stab him. He must have slipped on my knife when I was trying to get him off the fence." "We got to get out of here," the lookout said, glancing at the mouth of the alley just to make sure the commotion hadn't attracted any attention. "What? Travis, we can't just leave him here," Nate argued, throwing his arms out in Danny's direction. "Fuck you, man. I ain't going away as an accomplice for a murder when the kid dies on the way to the hospital," Travis responded, rounding the dumpster and shoving Nate aggressively. So we're just going to let him die?" Nate shot back. Travis grabbed Nate by his hoodie and dragged him closer, practically spit in his face. "This was your idea. You're the one who's going to go down for this. If we come forward and call an ambulance, well, let me tell you, buddy, it sure as hell won't be me." Travis growled and then shoved Nate away again. Nate's pallor turned a darker pale, and he gestured at Danny, who had curled up trying to put pressure on the wound around the knife. "So what the fuck do you want to do?" Nate whispered. Travis paused for a moment before stepping between Danny and the dumpster. Danny flinched as he tried to scramble away, but Travis grabbed his closest arm with bruising force and yanked it away from the wound. "Help me get him into the dumpster," Travis says as Danny struggled weakly to break his grip, trying to keep a pressure on his wound with his remaining hand. "Please don't do this," Danny begged, completely terrified as he felt his claw fluctuate uncontrollably. "Jesus Christ," Nate gasped as he stepped back. You can't be serious." "We need time to get as far away from here as possible," Travis argues as he hauled Danny from the ground. Danny groaned as his wound was aggravated. "We leave him out in the open and someone's going to notice him real quick. Now help me or the knife's going to be into you next." Nate shakily stepped to Danny's other side to grip his arm, at least trying to be gentle. Danny tore his hand away from the wound, trying to push either Travis or Nate away. Instantly, gravity started to pull on the knife, lighting his side in pain. As Travis and Nate manhandled him to try and get a better grip on him, Travis jostled the knife and slid it out of Danny's abdomen. The blood pouring out of his wound, Danny jerked before going boneless and nearly passing out. His attackers took the opportunity to easily lift and throw his body into the dumpster. Danny's head banged on one of the walls as he landed in the trash. He tried to use his shirt as a barrier between his wounds and the germ-infested stink hole he found himself in, putting pressure back on the spot and tried to get himself out. Danny's core rippled violently, unstably pulsing against his control as he tried not to go ghost. He listened intently as footsteps faded from the alleyway. When Danny was completely sure he was alone, he let go of his control and he let his ghost core come to life, filling his blood vessels with ectoplasm and repairing his damaged cells. Wade was having a pretty shit day if he was honest with himself. His last order had ended yesterday when the piece of shit cockroach heard of a human being that was stalking his ex turned tail after he found out that Deadpool was her hired muscle. Weasel didn't have any requests for him at Hal's house. Peter was doing an early patrol today, and the boxes were just being so mean. "Oh, boo-hoo, poor baby," Whitey sneered in his ear, as Wade wandered around the rooftops. "Grow a pair and shut the fuck up." "Hey now," whispered Greenie. "Mind the rating, you uncultured swine." No, it's fine," Yellow reassured them. "They upped the rating to M. We're in the clear, everyone." "Great," Wade thought glumly. "We're finally moving up in the world. Does this mean I get to play Russian roulette now?" "You better not," Wade suggested. "You'll make them nervous. Besides, you promised Peter you wouldn't." "I did promise that, didn't I?" Wade thought. He slowed down when he passed the alleyway, favoured by small-time crooks, hoping to get lucky and begging for a baddie he could pound his frustrations on. "Or that taco truck from last week," Violet piped up. "Those were so goddamn good tacos." Wade sighed as he was about to move on when he spotted a blood trail leading to the dumpster near the end of the alleyway. "Ah, come on," Wade whined. "Finding people in dumpsters is Hawkeye's and Daredevil's thing, and it's a totally overused trope." Wade couldn't make out what was in the dumpster, and he debated going down and checking it out when a box sang in his ear. "Come on, Paul, take a look. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back." Yellow whistled, pausing before continuing. "Or in this case, regenerative mutation, but, tomato, potato." "It's potato, you imbecile," Green whined. Wade ignored the growing argument between his boxes as he parkoured himself down to the alleyway by the bloody trails, and then heaved himself over the lip of the dumpster to peer inside. What he saw silenced the boxes in a heartbeat because there was a kid in the dumpster. There was a fucking kid, pale as an empty comic book panel, covered in blood in the dumpster. Wade instantly climbed the rest of the way in, pulling off one of his gloves to check for a pulse, and found nothing but cold skin. An icy rage rolled over him like a wave, and his mind ordered itself into chaotic focus. Something he hadn't felt since he went looking for Francis. If there was one thing he hated more than low-life fucks he usually went after, it was kid killers. He wanted so badly to start the hunt for these walking dead men, but Wade couldn't just leave the kid to be found in the trash. He picked the kid up and under his knees and shoulders, lifting him as easily as lifting a bag of potatoes. Jumping out of the dumpster, he laid the teen down on the ground and started feeling around the kid's pocket for a phone or wallet, so at least the kid could be ID'd when he called the police. But then something really, really weird happened. While Wade was patting the kid down, the kid's eyes burst open and instantly tried to take a swing at him, nearly giving Wade a heart attack. He backed off the kid, dazed and frightened, trying to scramble upright. Wade watched in dumbfounded amazement as the kid, who Wade swore was long past dead, got up on shaky legs like a newborn fowl, running full tilt into a wall, knocked himself out again. Wade paused, tired to wrap his head around what he saw. Fuck this, Wade thought as he dug out his phone and dialed Peter's number. This shit is too weird, even for me.
Wade brought the phone to his ear and settled his unoccupied hand in the crook of his folded arms, tapping his foot impatiently as he waited for Peter to pick up. He started talking in a moment when he heard the click of calls connecting. "Hey, ጵ-𝗵𝗵," said Wade in a deadpan. "I'd love to start off with a snappy one-liner, but we're going to have to settle for a cold open, because I just found a dead teenager in a dumpster and—" "You found a what?" Peter interrupted. Wade paused as he nudged the kid with his heel, seeing if he could elicit another reanimation. "Deceased teen, unalived adolescent, expired juvenile," Wade listed as he continued to nudge the kid. "Oh my God," Peter whispered brokenly. "Yeah," Wade trailed off as he bent down and grabbed the back of the kid's shirt, shaking him like a mother cat with its kitten. Except he didn't stay dead. The little shit jumped up, dabbed at me, and then ran straight into a wall. Knocked himself the fuck out, which, points for execution, but... Anyway, how do you feel about adoption?" Wade could picture Peter putting his face in his hands as he sighed. "Wade," Peter cried in a broken exasperation. "It's a teenage boy with black hair and blue eyes," Wade begged as he dropped the kid's shirt and stood back. "I am legally required to pull a Batman." While Peter was groaning away, the kid started to stir again. This time a bit more slowly and subdued. "Hold on, Boo, he's waking up again," Wade said as he held the phone and mouthpiece with his chest. "Hey kid, take it easy. I just finished fishing you out of a dumpster. You got a phone on you so I can call your parental units or something?" Wade watched as the kid pushed himself up slightly and tried to shake off his confusion like a dog shakes off water. Once the teen was apparently satisfied, he leaned his head back to look up at his savior. "Deadpool?" the kid whispered, and Wade nearly flinched. Fucking Christ, Wade thought. Even as a mutated ugly freak, I still attracted kids like flies to honey. "Yeah, home slice, it's Deadpool," Wade replied. "Need me to call you an ambulance?" "No," the kid shook his head. Just need to get my bearings." Wade was highly dubious, considering he found the kid stone cold dead, with no pulse, but he wasn't going to push. Maybe he could have Peter swing by and get the kid to go. Just as he was about to suggest it, the teen took a deep breath as he prepared to sit up, and breathed out a trail of blue mist. "Ah," Wade exhaled as the kid froze. "Oh shit," Violet whispered. "Ah!" Wade yelled as he jumped and pointed dramatically at the teen. Wade could vaguely hear Peter ask what was wrong in the background, and quickly brought the phone to his ear. "Boo, you need to come meet me at Safe House C. ASAP, I'll explain when you get there." He hung up without further ado, and then watched as Danny fucking Phantom dropped his head to the ground and whispered a quiet but heartfelt, "Fuck." Wade brought Phantom to Safe House C quickly and efficiently by hoisting the pipsqueak over his shoulder and then hauling ass across the roof tops. His strength and stamina making it quick and easy. He heard Phantom groan in pain once in a while, but mostly the teen complained about being carried round like a sack of flour. Wade made it into the safe house by landing on the fire escape and forcing himself and his living cargo through and unlocking the unlocked window. Wade moved to the kitchen through the bedroom and plopped the teen down at his admittedly messy table, then dived into the bathroom and bedroom to try and find the medkit he kept here for Peter, Wade stormed back into the kitchen, finding the kid sullen, taking in his surroundings with his arms crossed. Honestly, Wade was gonna fucking lose it. He slammed the medkit down on the table and opened it before lifting up the teen's shirt where the bloodstains was. Ignoring the teen's shout of protest, he still then shoved the shirt back down when he found no wound. I'll explain later, but what I really need right now is food, Phantom said as his stomach let out the loudest gurgle Wade had ever heard. Phantom blushed like a lime, and his eyes twitched from ocean blue to toxic green. You got anything to eat? Wade rushed back to the bedroom to raid his secret snack stashes, no questions asked, knowing that his kitchen wasn't as well stocked like in the other safe houses he had. Phantom had insisted that he was strictly a ghost or half-ghost, whatever, but Wade knew he had to be mutated in some way, and all mutations had their quirks. He dumped the first stash on a clean, if ripped, sheet, going to the closet and lifting a ceiling panel to find his prized candy trove hadn't been pilfered by Peter's sticky fingers. He grabbed all he could, hurried back to the kitchen with the sheet over his shoulder like a demented Dollar Tree Santa Claus. He found Phantom opening cabinets and cupboards like a nosy cabinets and cupboards like a nosy starving mouse, which rude, but Wade wasn't going to bitch about it. As he spread the sheet on the kitchen table in a mock rendition of a feast, when Phantom made his way over to the refrigerator, Wade grabbed his shoulder and led him back to the table. He didn't want to deal with a parasitic fungus like zombie apocalypse on top of trying to take care of a teenager. Thank you kindly. This gonna be enough, or should I be worrying about you starting to eat the furniture next? Wade asked. Yeah, this should hold me over for a little while now, thanks, Phantom says as he dug in, starting with a Krispy Kreme jumbo honey bun. Thank fuck, Wade breathed in relief, pulling up his mask as he headed over to one of the open cabinets, cracking open a whiskey bottle and downing a couple swallows. They both stayed silent for a while, Phantom munching his way through snacks while Wade nursed his drink at an alarming pace. God, Wade wished he could still get blackout drunk because he seriously needed to lose a few brain cells yesterday. Thanks, Phantom says after a moment, and Wade paused uncomfortably. Thanks for saving me. Ah, Wade replied shakily. If there's one thing you shouldn't do, it's thank me. Wade frowned before opening a bag of chips. Why shouldn't I? Phantom replied. You saved my life. I'd be dead right now if it weren't for you and your little hitchhiker. Wade almost choked on a mouthful of his drink, coughing to clear his airways. Excuse me, my what? Wade shouted, and Phantom flinched slightly. You know the shade I was talking about yesterday? And here Phantom deliberately dragged his eyes down Wade's face to his shoulder. It made Wade's skin crawl. It sort of attached itself to you. It's why my ghost senses keep going off. I gave it some of my ecto-energy yesterday to keep it from bugging me, and it sort of gave it back to me when you found me, jump-starting my ghost core. If you hadn't found me, I'd be a full ghost instead of a half one. So, again, I said, Wade interrupted him, slamming the bottle on the counter. Don't thank me. Phantom glared and put down his bag of chips and stood up from the chair. Why do you do that? Phantom asked. Spider said you hated to be called a hero, but he trusted you with his life, and read some internet post about you last night. Phantom, Wade growled. I'm warning you, but Phantom continued. You stopped 15 different people from committing suicide this year, Phantom said, and most of the jobs you did in the past were threatening crazy stalkers to stop bothering their victims. So why can't you just admit that you're a... Because I'm not okay, Wade yelled as he lunged forward, towering over Phantom, who tumbled back into his kitchen chair. I'm not a fucking hero, and I'm certifiedly saying I've killed people, Phantom, and I've done it for fun. Yeah, well, sometimes good people do bad things, Phantom yelled back, trying to stand up and get in his face. Wade sneered and stalked back to the counter where he left his drink. Yeah, and sometimes bad people do good things. Still doesn't make them any less of a bad person, Wade answered, taking another swing. Phantom clenched his fist, stalked forward, poking his fingers into Wade's chest, and his glowing eyes seemed to peer into Wade's soul. Let me tell you something about shades, Deadpool. They can't evolve into higher ghost forms than ectoplasm alone. They have to feed on emotions to develop on a personality, and that little shade has been attached to you for months, if not years. Learning, Phantom growled. I may have taught it how to give ecto energy to other beings, but it learned the concept of kindness and selflessness from you. They waited 10 more minutes in tense silence before Peter tapped frantically at the kitchen window, the monotony only broken up when Phantom texted more bullshit excuses to his parents about why he was late for his check-in. After they assured Peter that Phantom wasn't in any danger and the brief change of clothes for the kid, Phantom explained to the both of them how he ended up in such an awful predicament, briefly detailing how there wasn't enough ambient ectoplasm in the city to sustain his powers without consequences, and that when he had been stabbed his ghost core had shorted itself out to heal his body, and that the shade had attached itself to Deadpool had restarted his ghost core. Peter had nearly worn a hole through the floor with his pacing, and Deadpool had started another bottle of hard liquor to keep from introducing the pricks that had attacked Phantom with a new arsehole on their foreheads. They all agreed that it would be better for Pete to try and find the crooks that attacked Phantom, but Wade made no promises that he wouldn't be hanging out by the alley to try and find them. Are you sure you're alright? Peter asked, eyeing the untouched medkit and snack wrappers littering the table. Yeah, Phantom sighed, reaching up and cranking his neck. I have an emergency ectoplasm injection back at the hotel. I have to monitor what I do with my powers and eat my weight in burgers for every meal, but I'll be fine. Wade chewed in his lip before going to the bedroom and rummaging in one of the side tables. Once he found what he was looking for, went back to the kitchen and grabbed one of Phantom's hands, prying it open and placing a switchblade that was just under the legal limit in knife length into his palm. The next time someone grabs you, you can't use your powers? Use this, Wade said. You flick it open, you stab it anywhere, twist it, and run. Wade, Peter started, but Wade cut him off. Nope, that's it. I'm done with this bullshit for today. Both of you, get out, Wade said before stomping back to the bedroom and slamming the locked door. Wade slid down to the floor, making sure to roll down his mask and cover his ears, hiding away, trying to drown out the boxes without a bullet in his brain.
Danny stood in the kitchen, hand clutching the knife Deadpool had forced into his palm, looking at the door leading to the bedroom in disbelief. Tentatively, Spider-Man had put a hand on his shoulder and tried to leave him out of the safe house.
Sorry, Phantom, Spider-Man said somberly, but I think it's time we leave. Fuck that noise, Danny thought. Heroes help people. Deadpool needed help. Danny shrugged Spider-Man's hand off his shoulder and walked to the front door of the bedroom door, speaking before either of them could stop him. My name is Danny Fenton, Danny said, glancing Spider-Man in his periphery, making abort movements with his arms. Danny held up one point finger, asking for silence, and let his eyes glow as he glared. Spider-Man froze, and Danny continued. When I was 14, I was messing around in my parents' lab with my friends when I got doused with so much ectoplasm that the shock killed me before bringing me back to life. I became like this. Since then, I've met and fought a lot of ghosts, and about a month ago, I met a ghost who could look into the future. He showed me a reality where I got my friends and family killed, and I was so sad and guilty that I asked another halfer to literally rip out my humanity and turned myself into a monster. Danny inched forward and rested his head on the door. I was scared shitless, because all I've ever wanted to do after I got these powers was to help people. I asked him why he showed me that, and he said, everyone deserves a second chance. You're not a bad guy doing good things, Wade. I truly believe you're a good person. Just because you're not a hero doesn't mean you're a villain. Danny lifted his head before he turned and made his way back to Spider-Man. I can find my way back to the hotel from here, Danny whispered, consciously pointing his eyes back towards the other door. Give him some company? You got it, Danny, Spider-Man said before pulling him in a brief hug. And thank you. Hey guys, yes, sadly, this is the end of today's one-shot fic. As always, information will be in the description. Hope to see you again sometime soon. Bye!